Hey everybody, welcome to Being Kambua. My name is Kambua and I'm so happy that you have taken the time to join us today. Premier Gang, I see you. I love you. You guys are amazing. In case you're stumbling upon this place for the very first time, Being Kambua is a place that we have created to just share our stories, especially on our journey to motherhood, and realize that our struggles, even though different, at the end of the day, we are women trying to have children and wanting to normalize the conversation of motherhood, and in spite of all the challenges that could happen along the way. So this is a place where we are unafraid of talking about things like loss and miscarriage and infertility and all of those other things, divorce, abortion, whatever it is that has come along your journey to motherhood or through motherhood. This is a place where we talk about. So karibu sana, make this your home and make sure you tell your friends, your besties, your family to watch this. Save it for a rainy day, okay? Because I usually say that even if you've never been in any of the situations that we talk about, you might find yourself in a situation in the future. I get some messages that say, Kambua, I followed your podcast, but last month I had a miscarriage and it hit me different. And I now have a place to reference when I feel down and confused and isolated. It could be you or it could be somebody that you love. So make sure you keep subscribing, sharing, liking, and of course, dropping a comment. Here on Being Kambua, I bring you remarkable people. Most of the times they're women, and every once in a while I bring the men. I did bring the men last year around Christmas time, and we had a really amazing and powerful roundtable. I'll be bringing more men maybe in the near future. But today, I get to bring you this amazing young woman. She is a mom. I met her through the social media. Is a beautiful place, actually, when used in the right way. I've gotten to make a very powerful and amazing connection. So I'm honored to have B here with me today. Hi, B.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine.
This is not the B of Anyuki B.
No, it's B-E-A-B.
Yes.
It's Beatrice, but short form, so B.
Yeah,
without
Beatrice.
the tris.
Yeah, without the tris. I like it, B.
Yeah.
Okay, Beatrice, I have to tell you her exact words when I asked her, Beatrice, will you come on my podcast? Let me quote her verbatim. At first she said, let me go pray about it and think about it. I said, take your time, pray about it, let me know. Then eventually in January the 23rd, she said, hi Kambua, after 100 years of shaking, crying, wondering and praying, my answer is yes. So here we are.
Yes, 101 years later.
101 years later. I'm so happy that you're here with me, B, and that you said yes to Being Kambua. I know that it's never easy to share your story because our stories are very personal. Yes. But when we realize what they do for us and for other people, then we find the courage to tell the stories. So, karibu sana huku kwetu.
Asante sana.
Were you born and raised in Nairobi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Born and raised in Nairobi. Grew up in Riruta satellite for a period.
Yeah.
Then moved to Kiserian, Ngong. So that's where I spent most of my childhood. And then when I got into the adulting state, I moved back to the city, to Nairobi. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Which is where I am.
So you're partly a village girl, partly a
Yes.
city girl.
Yes.
Okay, I like that blend.
Yeah.
I'm slightly jealous, but it's fine.
The village part is fun because there was a lot of space.
Yeah.
Growing up, there was such a lot of space, a lot of compound to play around, to run around. We did a lot of things. My parents, being African parents, we went to the farm.
Yes.
Mom, we went to the farm. We did everything that you would think of village-ish.
Yes, animal farming.
We had animals.
Yes.
We had the garden. And then at some point we didn't have tap water, so we were fetching water from the well and, bringing up to the house.
Yeah.
So we progressed along until we got water in the house.
Yes.
And it was really nice. I enjoyed it. I can't say it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was nice.
It was nice.
I think,
yeah, it's a different experience.
It was a different experience.
Yes.
It was a nice experience. Now I'm not so sure I can do the farm anymore. It was nice.
Well,
but then we put a full stop.
It was good for that season while it lasted.
Yes.
Now you're a city girl through and through.
Now I'm a city girl.
You like the running water in your taps and etc.
Those the luxury, the comforts. Let me call them the comforts.
Yes.
But the noise of the city is a bit jarring. But lucky, I would say, lucky for me, I've also been able to find quieter places.
Okay.
Wherever it is I am, it's a bit more quiet than other
than the
areas.
regular.
So then I'm able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, be as like let me give you maybe 8 or 9 year old girl, 10 years. What were your dreams? What did you imagine you would grow up to be?
I like answering this question because I have a very interesting answer. As a young person, I would hear people say, I want to be, pilot, doctor, all those things.
Yes.
But for me, I grew up wanting to be like my mom.
Okay, which is?
A mom.
A mom.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know, for some reason I thought her job was so good.
Yes.
Because I was a good child.
Yes. We'll bring her here to verify.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I always wanted to be a mom, and I would say I want to be a mom like mommy.
Okay.
Because it was so much fun.
Yes.
For me, I think I remember the coloring, I remember the should really indulge me as a child.
Yes.
And I was an only child for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
So she really indulged me.
Right.
And it was beautiful. So that's what I wanted to become.
Just to be a mom.
Just to be a mom.
That is so unique and really beautiful.
Yes.
I don't know that I've heard someone actually say that I wanted to be a mom.
I just wanted
but it speaks so much of the kind of image she gave you of what motherhood is,
Yes.
that you're like, I want to be like that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. One of my favorite speakers is called Priscilla Shire from the US. And she was telling a story of how one time she was asking her son, I think her youngest son, she was asking him, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she also expected him to be like a pilot. So he said, I want to be like you, mom. And she was like, oh my gosh, it's so powerful, the impact I've had on my child. And so she asked him, okay, so what is it that you think that I do? And he's like, you do nothing. You stay home all day. I want to do nothing, mom, like you.
Nothing like you.
She was like, it was so funny listening to, because she's like, who do you think prepares that chicken on the table? Who do you think does your laundry? Who do you think? Because being a mother is a lot.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yes, and just to see, mothers carry on that role so gracefully is really, really beautiful. Okay, so B, as a little girl, just wanted to grow and be a mom. So this, I imagine, is top on your values of, even as you grew older, probably had different interests, but being a mother was a big thing for you.
Yes, it was.
Okay. So I actually want us to steer this conversation right into mother. We take a deep dive into motherhood, right?
Okay.
So I, just based off the conversation that you and I had, I know that when you got to either your late 20s or about your 30s, you had a doctor's report that completely just threw you off. Tell us what led to that point. Why did you decide to go get checked by a doctor? You are not married. You are not trying to have children. You are still fairly young.
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
So I was about in my 30s.
Okay.
Very early 30s.
Yes.
And so all through, from when I started my period, it was a painful period right from the beginning. Right from 13. Very painful period.
Yeah.
Actually, first it started with 2 weeks of bleeding and no pain at all.
Okay.
So my mom was like, okay, this is not good. So she took me to hospital, got some medication. The time came down to 5 days.
Okay.
But now the pain
Oh my goodness.
The intensity started immediately.
Yeah.
So I've had very, very painful periods.
And when
Terrible.
you say very painful, give us like a rating, because then people are like, okay, if you take a paracetamol, does it go down? What would you rate it? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extremely
highest.
painful. Where would you say your pain
Okay, so
level?
it progressed over time.
Yeah.
Regular Panadol stopped working when I
Yeah.
was maybe 15.
Yeah.
By the time I was getting into high school, I had to get an injection because Brufen wasn't working.
Really?
Then I got into Ponstan, and you know, the older ladies in the office would ask me, "Why are you taking this?
Yeah.
We are given this after we have our babies in the hospital.
Yeah.
You're spoiling your stomach." But it's the pain I was in. I needed that. Wow. Then after some time, it stopped working.
What?
Yes. So there are days then there are also just many other symptoms: shivers, shakes, IBS.
What is IBS?
Irritable bowel syndrome. Yes.
Syndrome. Yeah.
So it moved from like what I would call constipation to extremely runny tummies and everything in between. So by the time I was turning 30,
Yeah.
I had already been diagnosed with gastritis for gastritis because of the pills that I was taking. So that affected my lining. So this time it was actually very normal, but I knew I was very sensitive to food. So I'd really be picky on what I eat, where I eat, and things like that.
Yeah.
So this time I had my family over at my house for dinner. I cooked the meal.
Okay.
Everybody ate. Everybody was okay.
Yes.
Except me.
What happened to
I
you?
got very sick. So the next morning I had to rush to hospital. And when I ran to hospital, I was throwing up, and it was just chaotic.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to hospital, I was admitted immediately. I actually did not know I was being admitted until they brought me slippers.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? But I think the person who took me to hospital, she was my housemate, a very nice lady. She was trying to, and they told her, no, just sign the papers. We'll be able to get her help and what, because we were all panicking.
Right.
Anyway, so went through that treatment. It didn't work. I was getting worse. Moved from that hospital to another.
Okay.
And it's when I was at the other hospital as they were testing, because I ended up at, maybe I can mention the hospital, Aga Khan Hospital. I ended up in with a doctor who had a student. Okay. Aga Khan is a teaching hospital.
Yes.
So they had a student. And he told the student to examine me, do the physical exam.
Yeah.
And the student just went like, "Doc, there's something here." So he's pressing my stomach.
Yeah.
And then he goes down and he's like, "There's something here." When he said it, I was like, like, what's going on? And the doctor came and, and he said, actually, yes, there's something wrong. And cut a very long story short, it turned out that my tubes were swelling, which was, of course, abnormal.
Yes.
And my tubes, it's fallopian tubes.
Yes.
They were swollen to an extent that they could be felt. So he asked me, is it the first time you felt this? Because it was so painful.
Yes.
But I told him, no, I feel it a lot.
Yes.
When, especially during my period, I could tell you, I'm ovulating from this side, I'm ovulating from that side. I could feel it was really painful. So eventually we went through doctor for second opinion, third opinions and all that. And finally met one doctor who told me, okay, now we need to do the scan because to have a surgery. Yes. Because with every scan that I was getting, the tubes were swelling more. And there's one of the doctors who told me that if we keep quiet, there's a risk that they'll rupture. Because we don't know what is causing the swelling. Because I'm not pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I saw another doctor and he told me, go back to the guy at Aga Khan.
Yeah.
You're in good hands.
Okay.
Have the surgery done. But he finished off with something I did not expect to hear.
Yeah.
He said, whether you do the surgery or not, there is no guarantee that I can tell you for sure
Yes.
that you will not be able to have a child normally because of the way your tubes are. So go have the surgery for your own peace of mind and to unblock the tubes
Yes.
as much as, he said, as much as he can.
Yes.
But when you're ready to have a child,
Yeah.
come back to me for an IVF.
Whew.
And I was like, you know, it hits you in the stomach, in the gut.
Yeah.
Like, I was maybe 31 or 32.
You're young, yeah.
And remember, because I'd said I want to be a mom, like my mom, so I used to really watch what my mom was doing and I'd really listen.
Yeah.
And she had told me, go to school, finish your school, because she did her degree
Yes.
with my sister, my last born sister, and we are 13 years apart.
Okay.
So she did her degree while my younger sister was already born. And she
Okay.
really struggled.
Yeah.
Work, class, then come home to mother. And she really encouraged me to do school and all that. So according to my mathematics,
Yes.
I would be probably around 30-something
Yes.
and going by the
Yes.
time I become the
A
mommy.
mom, yes.
So here I am, 30s. I'm not married. At the time, I was not dating.
Yes.
But I've been told I can't be a mom naturally.
Wow.
I have to go through IVF. But I was in so much pain. All I wanted was, we'll deal with that story later.
Yes.
Let's first go in for the surgery.
Yes.
And the surgery was done and we got out. Then the doctor told me when they got in, it was worse than he thought. So I was properly diagnosed
Yes.
with endometriosis.
Okay.
And he said that it was at stage 4. At this point, there's not, but he was a very, how do I put it? I've never met a positive doctor.
Okay,
like
good.
my doctor. He was
Yes.
such a positive doctor.
Yes.
He was so good and very kind. And he told me, but don't worry. We'll get it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be okay. So he
Okay.
kept telling me it will be okay.
Yeah.
But I kept remembering what the other guy
Doctor
had
had
told me. So
said.
I asked him about it. And he said, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
there's still time.
Okay.
There are still things we can try
Yes.
before we get to that point of saying that it's impossible.
Okay.
So we started trying.
Yeah.
And starting to try is diet change.
Yes.
Starting to try is medication.
Yes.
So that we can stop the growth
Okay.
of the endometrial. And so what he had told me is that the endometriosis was lined outside of my uterus all the way around it.
Yeah.
And all my pelvic organs, basically. Wow. So it's around it's just around everything.
Yeah.
And inside the tubes, then my
Yeah.
tubes were, because it had done so much damage, my tubes were bent backwards.
Oh my goodness.
So they couldn't even finish the surgery.
Yeah.
Because he felt that the more they kept digging in to get whatever was blocking the tubes, they were getting now into other organs, and there was a danger of pricking them and then causing another problem. So they
Yes.
stopped.
Let me stop you right there, B.
Okay.
If you could, so I want to dwell on the endo just a little bit.
All right.
Because there's people who don't really understand what endometriosis is, and I know
Yes.
you talked about a little
Yes.
bit, but just explain it like very layman language what endo is.
Okay.
And it's also an important conversation because we recently lost a very
Yes.
well-loved personality, Jambi Koikai, may she rest in peace. And Jambi had really tried to talk about endometriosis, and I know there's a couple of other women in the country who talk about it, but people are still unaware of it. I still feel like it's not talked about enough.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you started having very painful periods from when you got your
Yes.
period.
Yes.
And this is now many years later. You're now in your 30s. You've had to go through injections, painkillers that are not regular painkillers, and nobody had picked it up for all those years. You are literally just trying to numb this pain.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about endo and what some of the, I'd say, signs to look out for are.
Okay. All right. So endometriosis, layman's kabisa.
Yes.
It's basically the lining of our uterus.
Yes.
So during your period, it's the inner lining of the uterus that is shed, that sheds out.
Yeah.
And that's what you have as your period.
Yes.
So now endometriosis is when you have the presence of the inner lining of your uterus in other areas apart from the uterus,
Right.
the inner side.
Yes.
So how it leaks out or it gets out still is mysterious.
Yeah.
But in my case, there was I don't know how the doctor said, like, it went up.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense, but it moved up into the fallopians and then went out also.
Yeah.
And it attaches, so the that inner lining attaches itself to other organs in the body.
Yes.
So in my case, it attached itself to the pelvic organs.
Yeah.
So that's my fallopian tubes, the ovaries, and the outside of my uterus.
Yes.
In the case of Jambi, and I think she said it so many times, it attached itself to her lungs.
Her lungs, yeah.
And that's why she was having the problems with breathing and all that.
Yeah.
So there are cases of people who've had the endometria attach itself to the heart. Others will go and lie on a nerve somewhere. And now what happens is that every time when you have your period, as your uterus is contracting to remove the inner lining, wherever this lining is attached contracts as well.
Oh my gosh.
So, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
Because now it's contracting. Wherever it has attached itself, it contracts together with what is going on in your uterus.
Yes.
And that is what causes the pain. That extreme pain.
Yeah.
So you'll have, again, as you said, in Jambi's case, should have collapsed lungs, because you can imagine something compressing on your
organ.
Lungs, on your organ. For me now, I had the pain outside the uterus, inside the uterus. There's pushing and pulling, like it was just all that.
Yeah.
So it was really painful. And then over a period of time, it came down. So it was coming down. Yeah. Even into the cervix. So it was really not an interesting
I'm
space.
sure. Yeah.
So that's basically what endometriosis is, if we can put it in layman's language.
I think that's clear, yeah.
Now, symptoms to look out for. Of course, there's the pain.
Yes.
Now, there's one thing that about endometriosis that I guess still not very understood why it happens this way. You could be at stage 1, and your pain is worse than a person that's in stage 4.
Oh.
So it's not that you're at stage 1, it's worse until 4. No. You could be at stage 1 and you're bleeding more, because they also talk about heavy bleeding, than somebody who's at stage 4.
Okay.
So for me, I was at stage 4. My pain was
very high. Yes.
But my bleeding was very little. Very little.
Yes.
To a point that sometimes I would not even need sanitary towels. Sometimes I would just use normal liners. But the pain was intense.
Okay.
So I think that the way they look at it is from the scarring.
Okay.
Because of the contractions and all that. The kind of scarring that it leaves in your organs and all that. I think that's what they use to determine whether it's stage 1 or stage 2.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of pain, and especially if for younger. Now for me, I would say, because I started my pain pretty early.
Yeah.
But there are those who start pain from nowhere. You've had your periods for 10, 20 years, and then all of a sudden there's pain.
Yes.
just go get checked.
Yeah.
Say just get checked.
Yeah. That's so important. Go get checked, because I think many times women are like, oh, but periods are painful.
Yes.
I think periods do come with some discomfort. There's some cramping and whatever. But when you're in extreme pain, I think it is worth getting checked out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
So you've gone through the surgery, and now you're doing sort of a lifestyle change.
Yes.
Working with your doctor.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How did that make you feel? Were there changes in your body? Tell us about that.
Okay. So now with the change, first year, of course, we started with more basic, let me not call it basic medication, but it was lighter.
Okay.
In the sense that we started with a family planning method, because the goal was to suppress the production of estrogen.
Yes.
So we started with that. Now that brought in a lot of other things.
Okay.
So you experience, for me, I experienced for the first time what people call PMS, the irritability. There are people who get really irritable and angry. I never used to have those things. For me, my periods were just painful.
Yes.
So a little bit of irritability, sensitivity also to a lot of other things.
Yes.
I could I could smell things from a mile away.
You're like a pregnant
things and people from a mile away. And it was really disturbing in that sense.
Yeah.
And then my sleep also got disrupted. But the pain continued.
Oh, it didn't change?
It didn't change. So then we moved to another medication.
Okay.
And this time it was an injectable.
Okay.
And I had induced menopause for a year.
Okay.
Because now the injection would induce menopause to shut down the system and see like what's going to happen.
Yes.
Now that came with its own symptoms again. So you can imagine I'm 30 now, maybe 33 at this point, and I have menopause.
Oh my goodness.
Hot flashes.
Oh my goodness.
Headaches.
Yes.
A little bit of confusion, like, brain fogs, it was a lot. Sensitivity also of the skin. I was very sensitive to touch.
Okay.
So around the time when I would be ovulating, so as much as I wouldn't get my period, but around the time of ovulation, which is one thing that has never changed, around the time of ovulation and when I should actually be having my period, I would be very sensitive to touch, to sense. My senses were very alert. So I became very sensitive even to fabric. So some clothes I would wear would start getting itchy and stuff like that.
Yes.
So that was really another phase, quite chaotic in its own.
I can imagine. And that's for a full year.
That was for a full year.
Wow.
And then we got to a space, then he said, okay, nothing is changing. Because now he said he can't put me on this medication for more than a year. Because now the menopause will end up being permanent, or you never know like what the repercussions for that. So he took me off that and he gave me another medication just for just for maintaining the pain and all that. Now those ones came again with their own symptoms. So I got my period back. The heat flashes stopped. The sensitivities they reduced and all that. But now there are these other symptoms. Now I can't sleep.
Goodness.
Now I can't, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like there was just a lot. It was just a lot. Ended up having some later, you get these pockets of sickness and you're told, oh, now you're lactose intolerant. I'm like, friend, how did I become lactose intolerant at 30? I've been drinking milk since or whatever. I've been consuming this, but now I'm not able to. So it's been a journey.
Oh my goodness. So with all this, so there's so much happening. physically.
Yes.
With your body.
Yes.
I want to know what's happening in your mind. I want to know what's happening in your heart.
Yeah.
Because it's so much to process. It's one thing
Yeah.
for your body to be trying to like figure out what's going on. It's another thing for our minds and for our hearts to just make sense and make peace, if at all, with the situation. What was the state of your heart and your mind?
Wow. So the state of my heart. First of all, I'll say I thank God for my faith. Let me start from there. That I was raised in the church, so I always had my faith to anchor on. That being said, does not mean that I was not broken.
Yeah.
Because it really hurt. I felt disappointed.
Yeah.
By God.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned that. Because it was always, take this medication, but also pray. So I really prayed.
Yes.
I had people praying with me. I had friends praying with me, people supporting me. I love to sing.
Yeah.
And I'd always been in ministry.
Yes.
And I'd really throw myself into into ministry, into work.
Yes.
On the days when I was okay, that's
Yeah.
what I did.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was also running away. So I kept myself very busy because this condition was not changing as much as I prayed, as much as I did the Christian works.
Yes.
And you remember that our labor in the Lord is not in vain.
Yes.
So there was a lot. There was also situations that I found myself in when I would be dating. And then, you can't hide painful periods.
Yeah.
You can't hide.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can't hide. So there's a way. Sometimes there's a kind of reaction.
Yes.
That you see.
Is it positive, negative? Negative reaction.
Yes.
Okay.
And initially it would be, okay, we can, you need medication, you need this, you need this. I can take you to the hospital,
Okay.
But after some time now, it's, and these things are bad. So now there's that feeling that maybe I should actually tell this person what's happening. And the moment you mention the possibility, not the confirmed, the possibility of infertility issues, the wall comes up immediately.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So I experienced that a couple of times. Either somebody I was dating, friends that I had that were of the other gender.
Yes.
So it built up a wall also for me. I said, okay, so maybe I can't deal with other people's emotions of how I'm feeling.
Right.
And then, of course, also the ladies, you're exaggerating this pain. You're not the first one to have periods. Unapenda dawa. Because I used to be a walking pharmacist. I had everything from acid. You have sijui pain for what?
Yes.
I need medication to sleep.
Yes.
I need this. So I had a lot of medication. So there was always a comment of unapenda dawa.
Yeah.
You're exaggerating the pain. You're not praying enough.
Yes.
Where is your faith?
Yes.
Yeah. Things like those really broke me.
Yeah.
So I chose to deal with my pain and let people do them.
Right.
And the other day somebody questioned, because I was telling someone that we'd done a personality test and I told them that I'm an introvert.
Yes.
And she said, this introvert, we need to discuss, because you're redefining introverted.
Okay,
and
why?
I thought maybe because I chose to retreat from people.
Yeah.
Because I know you won't understand.
Yes.
And I don't really have the time, the energy to explain myself.
Right.
So I'd retreat to myself.
Yeah.
Where was I emotionally?
Yeah.
I did end up in therapy
Okay.
at some point. Because now I needed to understand what was going on and just really accept what was happening.
Yes.
Because we did get to the point where the doctor told me, Beatrice, I can't give you any more medication.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing else I can do for you.
Yeah.
We have to go in for another surgery. But this time, it's to cut off and burn, to burn out the endometria where it's presenting. And there was the risk. Remember, it's around the uterus.
Yes.
So as you're cutting, burning, this is surgery. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
So he would keep telling me, there's a risk that we might damage your uterus. And since the inside of your uterus is good,
Yes.
try and have a child.
Okay.
But I kept asking myself, why would I bring a child into this world?
Yeah.
No, actually, my answer was always, but Daktari, I'm not married.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
I'm a Christian. And I grew up knowing, you know,
there's
that
a certain
there's
order
a certain
of things.
order of things. And surprisingly for me also, that order of things didn't occur to me when I was saying I want to be a mom like mommy.
Yes.
That order of things did not occur to me until I was in Form 3. I don't know why.
You're just in the goal. The goal is to be a mommy.
To be a mommy.
The in-between.
And then one time, somebody came and preached and I was like, oh, so I need to be married so that I can have a child and become a mommy. God, have mercy on your innocent children. So it was always, Daktari, I'm not married. So, you know. Then he said, I know, I get it.
Yes.
But the IVF. And I would be like, It's not even about IVF.
Yeah.
Because if it's money we can look for it.
Right.
But you're asking me to have a child out of wedlock.
Yeah.
To come and potentially
Yes.
cure me
Yes.
of a sickness.
Oh, so the suggestion was if you have a child, the endometriosis will stop?
Yes.
Oh.
And actually that's what they told me from the time I was 13. That's the
Yes.
first thing the doctor, huyu akipata mtoto, once she gets pregnant, she'll be fine.
They said that to you at 13?
At 13.
You're a baby at 13?
Yes. Akipata mtoto. So every time, even all through this time, you know, even in my 20s, I'd go to hospital and the doctor is like, you just try and have, you know, you keep coming here for medication.
Yes.
Because again, I don't want to go over the counter. You keep coming here for medication.
Yes.
Dawa ni pata mtoto, get a child. And this thing will stop.
Is there truth to that? Like scientifically? Is there a correlation between carrying a child and the cure of...
Now, not 100%.
Yes.
Let me put it that way. Because the idea is that when you're pregnant,
Yes.
your body will stop producing the estrogen.
Yes.
And if for 9 months your body is not producing estrogen,
Yes.
then there's the likelihood that it will stop because then endometriosis feeds on the
Off of
estrogen.
the estrogen, yes.
So it's not going to be produced.
Okay.
So that's the backstory. But the truth of the matter is there are people who have had children
Yes.
and still immediately after you're
continue,
right back.
Because your body goes back to producing estrogen.
Goes back to producing estrogen.
Yeah.
So there's really no truth to it. There's a science, yes.
Yes.
But then the facts have
It's not
proven
a foolproof.
it's not foolproof.
Yeah.
Now that's one thing. Second thing is I didn't feel, and I still don't think that it's fair for us to bring children into this world to cure us.
Oh, yeah.
Of our adult conditions.
Oh, my goodness. Say that again.
You know.
Yeah.
You don't do that. You're putting so much responsibility on a child that did not ask to be here. So having a child so that you can cure a disease that you're suffering from, very unfair.
Yeah.
I've heard of people who have children so that they can donate bone marrow to their other sick children. That's not fair.
Oh. My heart just felt something.
Not fair. It's not fair.
Yes.
And I say this gently. For you to have a child to cure your marriage. If there's something wrong with your marriage, heal the marriage.
Wow.
Don't have a child to
Wow, we need to drop the mic at that point, to be
Yes.
honestly. You're right, because as adults, we do use children to
Yes.
save relationships, to
Yes.
save ourselves.
Yes.
It is not fair on
It's
those
not fair.
children,
It's not
because
fair.
then even our motive for having the children is wrong. It's not because we want the child and we want to nurture the child. It's and the what's even crazier is if they don't fulfill that thing, so the child comes and the marriage or relationship still falls apart.
Yes.
Then the child still suffers,
Yeah.
or the child comes to cure your endometriosis and it doesn't get cured. So I don't know, I imagine even resentment towards the child,
Yes.
So yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not fair
It's not
to do
fair.
that
It's
to
not
a
fair.
child.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
So for me, those are the decisions that I grappled with. Apart from not being married,
Yes.
that it's not fair,
Yeah.
Then, of course, also, and let me not downplay this, I
Yeah.
said money we can find,
Yes.
but money for IVF
Yes.
is
It's a lot.
it's quite something.
Yes.
It's quite something.
Yes.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I remember as I was going through therapy, because one of the things that my therapist, one of the questions that she was asking is, what would it cost you as
Yes.
a person to have a child out of wedlock? Those are some of the questions that we were,
Yes.
And of course I talked about the church. Now, how will it even look?
Yeah.
I've grown up in the church.
Yes.
How will it even look?
Yes.
How do I explain to people that I didn't
Yeah.
usherati?
Okay, it sounds
not usherati.
very different in Swahili.
It's good when you say it in Swahili.
Usherati.
English covers things.
Yeah, it pacifies it a
It
little bit.
pacifies. Yes, it was not usherati.
Okay.
It was a medical procedure.
Yes.
How many people will you tell that?
Oh no, people will not
And
understand
remember,
that.
Kambua, I grew up in a village. So my church, the church is 500 members.
Yes.
That church is just the 500.
Yeah.
Will you go and tell each and every 500 of them?
Explain to them.
Explain to them.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah. So there's that, and then the cost. And I told her, then the cost is high, and she said, which cost have you found out? And should really make me go out and do the work. And I spoke to a number of people that have been through IVF.
Okay.
I did the homework.
Yes.
And I was like, where? And part of it is, apart from it being expensive, it's also not
a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee.
Nope. Yeah.
And I remember a very dear friend of mine. I love her to death. She told me, Beatrice, achana nayo. If being a mommy is all you want, I have these 2 boys.
Yeah.
Here, they are yours. Anytime you feel like you want to be mommy,
Yes,
come pick them, go do whatever,
Yes.
come back.
Yes.
Bring them back to me.
Yes.
Be an auntie.
Oh, how
and she
sweet.
really encouraged me to be the best auntie that I can be.
Yes.
Because she told me, and it's her own story, it's her story to tell, but she had tried.
Right.
And eventually she had her children naturally.
Okay.
So even
Beautiful.
after she had tried,
Yeah.
she still had the children naturally. And she's an amazing woman, and I still have her in my life.
Yes.
And you see such encouragement, and then met somebody else whose process actually was successful.
IVF.
The IVF was successful. First try.
Oh wow.
Successful.
Yes.
But she also explained to me the struggles and all the things that you go through, because it's not it's not like a dentist office for you're extracting a tooth. It's a process.
Right.
And eventually I decided within myself that I was not willing to go through the process.
Okay.
Because again, another question she asked me, my therapist, now you have the child.
Yeah.
However you've had the child.
Yes.
Think about the conversation you'll have with this child about their origin, because I say I'm a trained counseling psychologist.
Okay.
Still in training.
Yes.
Not practicing. And she of course highlighted the child development stages, the children development stages. And there's a stage where the children start to seek their identity.
Yes.
It's normal.
Yes.
So at that point, what conversation will you have with this child? Now, her goal was not to discourage me. Let me just put it out. It was not to discourage me from having this child.
Yes.
It was for me to process what that stage would look like.
Yes.
Because we do have women who have children through IVF.
Yes.
And it's important for them to know how to have these conversations.
Right.
Because you need to be prepared.
Absolutely.
How will you have this conversation?
Because it will come.
Yeah. Whether it's adoption as well, the conversation will come.
Oh, yeah.
So it was to prepare me.
Yeah.
But it was my decision.
Yes.
And I think at the end of all that, I told the doctor,
No.
I told my therapist, I think I've decided.
Yeah.
I'm okay being child now free.
Right.
And that's how I was going to live my life.
Yeah.
So that was in 2019
Okay.
when I made that decision. So I called my doctor and I told him, now 2020, I'm coming in for the surgery. So he said, good.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. And he's like, you're okay with any outcome? I told him whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I think once I make a decision, I ran with it, and my decision was very firm.
Yeah.
In fact, doctor, if you go in there and you find it's worse than you thought, just remove the whole thing.
Wow.
It's never that serious.
Like a full hysterectomy?
Just,
clear out whatever.
Just clear out. Wow. Because for me, the pain was the pain that I was enduring every month.
Yeah.
And that I had endured up to that point was more than... it was unnecessary.
Right.
And if I have decided now to be, and I've settled in my mind that I'll be child free,
yes,
then there is no need to go through the pain.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I think it's such a big place to arrive at as a woman to say, even if it's my uterus, just take it out. We grapple with that, even in situations where you're not even planning on having any more children or having children at all. Just that, saying my uterus, there's a possibility that I'll lose my uterus. We almost feel like, and this is a conversation we need to have more as African women, what it does to us, what it does to you as a woman when you've lost I don't know what it is about the uterus that in a sense defines us. So, I feel like for you to have even arrived at that place, I can only imagine that you had gone through so much that you're like, at this point, just if it needs to go, let it go. And I like this conversation because we are helping people understand and empathize with other people, because many times we don't understand people's situations. We really don't. We just see them from a very skewed perspective without knowing the position that person has been in. And as you have said, they don't have the luxury to explain to everybody that this is the reason why I made this decision, whether it's a child out of wedlock or it's losing my uterus or whatever it is. You don't have that luxury to tell everybody. And even when you tell everybody, they still will not understand it.
And then it's also none of their business.
Especially none of their business. Why do I have to keep explaining myself? Yeah.
And as a society, I feel like we have, and we are Africans. And I get it. And I get it that we are society and we are community and we do all that. But we are in each other's business. Sometimes a bit too much. I think that boundaries are very important. It's important to respect one another. I usually say that my womb is my business. You know what I mean? It really is my business. It is,
So unless I let you in, I really have no business questioning what you do with yours, you know? Whether it's why you haven't had a child or why you haven't had another child or whatever it is, I have no business questioning it unless you pull me into your space. Okay, so where do we go from here? 2020, you go for the surgery?
2020, We are going for surgery.
Yeah.
COVID.
Oh, yes, it's COVID time. Yes, of course.
And my wonderful doctor tells me, Beatrice, just surgery for Nini, then you come out with COVID. Just wait.
It's never that serious.
It's never that serious. Just wait.
Yeah.
So we don't have the surgery. So here we are in lockdown.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I didn't mention this.
Yeah.
I have taken everything because in 2019, he stopped giving me medication.
Okay.
Because he wanted me to have that surgery in 2019. I refused.
Yes.
I ran away from him.
Okay.
I ran away from him.
Yeah.
And now, 2019, I got into other forms of treatment.
Okay, which is, if we may ask?
I took herbal medication.
Yeah.
I was sent to somebody somewhere that was making vegetable juices. I've drunk cabbage juice, Kambua.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever drunk cabbage juice.
I have. I know how it tastes.
Yes. And how it smells.
Oh, the smell is what I can't stand. The taste is all right.
It's the how it smells.
Yes.
And I would go and buy this and should pack it in all different bottles, and you had a schedule, and you take this one in the morning and this one in the evening and this one. I took all that. I got sick. My mom came and poured all that in she was like, what madness is this? Because now I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. It's all I was drinking for, and I was supposed to drink it for 2 weeks. No food.
Only that juice?
Yes, just the juice. I was on more like a juice cleanse or something like that.
Right.
But I got so sick, I was, shaking. And my wonderful housemate again, I thank God I've always had very good housemates. And my housemate called my mom.
Oh, good.
And she said, this girl, she's not okay. And my mom came and poured all those things in the toilet. And she said, I don't want you drinking these things again.
Yes.
Then we moved from there, and I was introduced to another herbal concoction, which I took as well.
Yeah.
That one now didn't cause me this problems. But what did it do? It caused me to have periods of time when I wouldn't have my menses at all. So I would be like 2 months, 3 months. But I was used to it because the medication I had, sometimes I would skip my period for a period of time.
So it wasn't anything different.
It wasn't anything different. And it wasn't causing any physical reactions.
Okay.
So I took it,
okay,
for a time. So now, here we are, 2020, COVID happens.
Yes.
By the end of 2019, I've made the decision I'll be child-free.
Yes.
But by the time I'm making that decision, I am now completely and absolutely... I'm saying this cautiously because I was still in my Bible study group and I was still in church.
Just say it.
I was completely angry with God at this point.
Of course,
still serving, still loving people, but I was very disappointed in God.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yes.
Because I could not believe that this is where you had brought me. I was not looking for a child.
Yeah.
And you have denied me.
Yes.
The opportunity to have a child. And I remember early on, before I had that first surgery, I asked God why. And he told me it's not for you. So here I am, how many years down the line? Some years down the line.
Yes.
I still don't know who it is for. And I'm the one who's suffering.
Oh.
It is not for you. But I'm the one who's suffering.
Oh my goodness.
The mathematics was not...
It wasn't
mathing.
Yeah, it wasn't mathing.
Anyway, so I was really, really, really angry.
Yeah.
And deeply hurt. Because I felt like after all I have prayed, everything I have done, I have lived a pure life. Up to this point, I have lived a pure life.
Yes.
I have waited, for marriage. I've abstained from, sexual activities and stuff like that. So I was really angry.
Yeah.
And I remember one time saying, I don't know what I'm waiting for. because I'm not waiting to be married by who.
Yeah.
At this point, I was like, first of all, marriage, put it on the side. It's not for me.
Okay.
I don't want to be involved with a person. And the stories were so many. And in my head, it registered that I do not want to get into a situation where a potential husband's mother is on my case about having children. Like there's something I can do about it. I've done everything I can.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
So in the quest to keep people away from hurting me and to protect myself, I cancelled marriage from the program.
Okay.
And I cancelled trying to have children.
Okay.
From the program.
Yeah.
And I didn't cancel God.
Yes.
But
you were not at a good place.
I was not at a good place.
Yeah.
And it's at that point that I got involved in some things that honestly I shouldn't have been.
Yes.
Alcohol, numbing that pain.
Yeah.
In fact, I was telling my brother another time. There's one time I woke up because I never used to go out clubbing and all that.
Yes.
But there's one day I woke up and I was like, if I continue drinking in my house alone, I'll become an alcoholic.
Okay.
Because I used to drink in my house alone.
Wow.
And then the devil comes to show off. When he's ready to show off, he comes to show off.
Yeah.
A guy just opened a wines and spirits outside my gate.
Oh my goodness! So it was just so accessible.
It was
you
so
could
accessible.
Go in your pajamas to buy and come back.
Yeah. Sorry, mom. But yeah, I was drinking every day.
Yes.
Downing a bottle of wine every day because I was not into the hard stuff. But by then, a bottle every day is a lot.
Yep.
So now I started to ask, can I come out with you guys? So that I can go make noise.
Yes.
Then come home and I'll be good for the week.
Okay.
So that happened.
Yeah. And are you still serving or in the Bible study at this point, or
I'm still going for my Bible study.
Okay.
I didn't drop.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. I didn't drop my Christian activities.
Okay. You are still busy for the Lord.
I was still busy. But what I did is I did not get onto the pulpit.
Okay.
So I still served.
Yes.
With the background, whatever needs to be done in the background.
Yeah.
But my conscience
could
not allow me to get on the pulpit.
Okay.
Because I knew what I was doing was not right.
Okay.
So I'm not going to get onto the pulpit.
Okay.
But I will do the background.
Yeah.
Because I also didn't want too many questions.
Yes.
And I also didn't want to be very far away from God. You see, I was playing safe. God is all I knew.
Yeah.
I've been saved since I was 9 years old. So God is what I know.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be too far away from him, lest he forgets me. So I need to come to church and I need to,
Yeah, and I guess it provided some sort of safety net that uko tu, uko kabisa, but uko.
Niko.
Yeah.
And of course I was still praying and I was still asking God and I was still begging God.
Yeah.
But I do remember getting to a point where, and I shared it with my mom, and I told her, even if God does not heal me,
yes,
I will continue to love him.
Wow.
And I remember that day my mom was very angry with me because she said, what do you mean even if he doesn't heal you? Do you not believe that he can heal you?
Yes.
And it became a faith,
yes.
But I spoke within myself and I said, I'll hold on to mom's faith. Let her continue having faith for me.
Yes.
But uko nimetoka, So here we are, 2020, it's COVID.
Yeah.
It's lockdown.
Yeah.
I'm in this situationship.
Okay.
And then just so happened that I started to feel some kind of way.
Huh. What kind of way? Yeah.
I'm eating and the food is not good. I'm like, we've started again. And I'd stopped taking medication.
Yeah.
So one of the things that this herbal medication did is it actually calmed a lot of the symptoms that I was having.
Right.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
It was really nice for me. And I could eat now, you know. But now I started to throw up. I'm like, that food wasn't good.
Yeah.
I don't like that restaurant anymore. I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
Then one time we went out after Sunday service, we went out for lunch with some friends.
Yeah.
And I could not stand the sight of chips.
Whoa.
And me, I'm a chips girl.
Okay.
Oh, waru.
Waru.
I'm a true Kikuyu.
Yeah.
I could not stand the sight of chips. And I remember I drank 2 crests na ugali. And my friend told me...
Sorry, what?
I'm telling you the truth. I asked for fish with ugali.
Yes.
And 2 very, very cold crests.
Okay.
And I ate the ugali and the crest.
Yeah.
And one of my friends jokingly said, she used to call me Kairetu. You know, meaning young girl.
Yes.
Hey, Kairetu, you're pregnant.
Whoa.
I told her, from where? How?
Yeah, it's impossible.
With whose tubes? Mine?
Yeah, definitely not mine.
Not mine.
Yeah.
You know, and we laughed about it and all.
Yeah.
But the more we stayed together, they kept saying no. And one of them, actually, when we were going home, she was tasked
Yes.
with the responsibility of making sure that I go through the pharmacy and buy a pregnancy kit. And I was like, you guys are joking. I went to the pharmacy.
Okay.
I asked for antacids.
Yes.
And something to stop me from
Throwing up.
because I was feeling nausea.
Yeah.
And my friend came in and she said, take back these things and give her pregnancy kit. She doesn't need all these things. Give her pregnancy kit. So I bought 2.
Yes.
I went home and I tested. Hey, the way those lines turned red, they don't even respect instructions.
They didn't wait for like 3 minutes or nini.
Who's 3 minutes?
What?
As the strip was getting wet, it was turning red. What's wrong with you? So I did the first one and I was like, so I called my friend and I told her, Kai. And she laughed. And then she told me, you know, you don't know how to use these things.
Yeah.
For sure, this was the first time I was seeing a pregnancy kit. Let me be honest.
Yes.
2020 was the first time I ever saw
Yes.
like this in my hands, a pregnancy kit. Because where would I have seen it and what would I have used it for before? And she told me, you don't know how to use this thing. You didn't read it nicely.
Yeah.
Try in the morning.
First
P. So I told her, okay. And I went to sleep and I told God, Mbede usicheze na mimi. Because before that I had prayed and I told God, Aki God, ata ukininyima everything in this world.
Yeah.
Give me a child.
Wow.
That's all I want. I don't want anything else. Ninyime to everything. Wow. I just want a child.
So in as much as you had decided you'd be child-free, you still had that desire.
Wanted. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did. Just give me a child.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I don't know how you'll do it. I don't even want to be married.
Just a child.
Just want a child. Don't even give me all those fancy things. I don't want. Just a child.
Yes.
So next morning, did the test. Again, the disrespect. Red. My friend actually called me.
Yeah.
Have you tried? I'm like, yes. And
same thing.
Double red lines. And she laughed. She was like, yeah. And I had to go to work.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know, panicking.
Yes.
I called my gyna, made an appointment to see him the next day.
Yeah.
And the next day I went with my friend, the one who took me to the pharmacy. And when I told my gyna, I'm here, and he asked me, so you're ready to do the surgery? And I told him, actually, yeah, I am. But
before that,
yesterday and today morning, these gadgets.
Yeah.
Just happened to be in my house. And he looked at me and he sat up.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yes.
And he took this contraption that he had and he's rolling and looking at the dates. When was the last time you had your period?
Yes.
And the last time I had a period was 90 days before.
Wow. Okay.
This.
Yeah.
90 days. So there's no...
Yeah.
90 days.
Yes.
Not possible.
Uh-huh.
But I'd had cramps.
Yes.
My cramps would come whether the period comes out or not. I would
Yes.
still have cramps.
Okay.
So the cramps had come. But here I was,
Yeah.
and he checked and he said, Beatrice, we are pregnant. Oh my goodness, we are pregnant. I asked him, you and who?
Together, Beatrice.
You and who?
Oh my
And
god.
he said, I can't even test. I can't even wait for the blood work.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
can't do that one. Let's go and do the scan.
Yes.
The
transvaginal scan.
Yes, the transvaginal scan. And we went in, and he was so happy. He was jiggling and jumping,
my
and
goodness.
and I'm like, this guy.
Yeah.
And then I just lay there. I waited. He did the test, and he was like, "Oh my God, there it is!
Yeah.
It's so wonderful. It's attached. And he's just going on and on and on and on and on." And I'm watching a YouTube video.
What?
Yes.
Is this your way of coping with what's happening?
It's me in denial.
Yeah.
It's me in denial.
Yeah.
And then the nurse is looking at him, looking at me. And then he says, "Nurse, I know you're confused.
Yeah.
This girl is not excited the way I'm if you knew where we've come from."
Wow.
Hey, Beatrice, it's there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, it's there.
Oh my goodness.
It's there. And he was so excited, and he's telling the nurse, I have tried this, I have tried this, I have tried. And he went through the whole, And the nurse is like, really? And now she's getting excited.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them and I'm like, why are you people excited? Because I expected it to... I don't know what I expected.
Yeah.
I expected maybe that it was a dream.
Yeah,
or it was,
someone will bust your bubble any moment.
A bubble will be burst at some point. And I remember when we were doing this test, he said, I need to check because I don't want it in the tubes.
Yes.
You're pregnant, but it can't be in the tubes.
Yes.
Because the thought is there's no way it got into the uterus because the way the tubes are,
Yeah.
it didn't get in. It can't be in the uterus. God, I hope it's not in the tubes. I hope it's not in the tube.
Wow.
So when he saw it's in the uterus, he was over the moon.
Oh my goodness, a miracle.
And he was so excited. So I tell my friend, and she's very happy. And I'm in shock.
Yes.
I remember driving from Aga Khan to Lavington.
Yes.
Because the other friend she was like, wait for me at Social House. Actually,
Yeah.
went to Social House. And I just sat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait.
It's there.
The thought is even...
Yeah.
I had decided I don't want children.
Yeah.
I was now confused.
Yes.
I'd even forgotten that I was praying and begging God for a child in those midnight, in those 3 a.m. prayers. Imagine I still used to wake up at 3 a.m. for prayers.
Yes.
I'd forgotten. It was not at the front of my thoughts at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so am I happy or am I sad? I didn't know. Because... Remember, I'm a Christian girl.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a girl in service. God, are you disappointed in me?
Wow.
Or God, have you answered me? So I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how to approach even the throne at this point.
Yes.
Are we thanksgiving or repenting?
Oh, yeah.
It's
very confusing.
Very confusing. But anyway, long story short, here I am. I still had to go for therapy. I remember seeing another therapist, and she's like, Beatrice, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
And I remember every day I would go for therapy, she'd tell me, first thing as we get in, your pregnancy is a blessing.
Yes.
Is your blessing.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, my pregnancy is my blessing.
Yes.
We do the therapy session. When we are ending, she reminds me, Beatrice, your pregnancy is your blessing.
Wow.
And she kept insisting that it is my blessing. And I took it at that.
Yeah.
And I know that, therapy is not about advising and all those things. But I really needed this older woman's voice because she was an older woman.
Okay.
Older than my mom, actually.
Okay.
She was an older woman, and she kept telling me, your pregnancy is your blessing. You asked God. He answered you.
Yes.
Forget about what everybody else is going to say, is going to think, is going to react. That is them.
Right.
This is yours. And it's at that point that I called my baby, girl or boy, Baraka. I didn't know,
Yeah.
And I started calling my baby Baraka from that time.
Yeah.
And it's been a journey. It was a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. So you've explained the dilemma where you are with God. Should I be thanking you, or should I be repenting, or should I be whatever?
Yeah.
But then you've gotten someone in your life who's brought it into perspective that this is your blessing, Beatrice, regardless of how it came to be. Two people I'm curious to know, did you speak to the father of your child, and also your mother? I'd love to know your mother's reaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so I did. The first person I spoke to, of course, was the father of my child.
Yeah.
As I told you, I'd gone for therapy.
Yes.
So I was prepared for either reaction.
Right.
Happy or no happy.
Yeah.
The reaction was not pleasing.
Okay. Not what you hoped for.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't pleasing. I was prepared.
Yes.
But it wasn't pleasing.
Okay.
And that went the way it did.
Yeah.
Not my story to tell, whatever happened.
Yes.
That's his story. Now, after I'd done that, now I told my mom.
Yes.
And I decided I'll tell my mom at home when there's nobody else, so that if she's reacting,
however she reacts,
we shall react in the safety of the house.
Yeah.
I know where the muicos are. So I'll keep her in the living room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the moment I told her, my mom let out a shout.
What?
And she was happy. She was jumping.
Yeah.
She was like, I feel like going to the balcony. She wanted to open the balcony. She's like, I need to go to the balcony and shout. These people don't know. They don't know what's going on in this house. They don't know. Yeah. She was so happy.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her like, because I was really concerned. She's been a church elder for years. So I was really concerned how it's going to look for her as well.
Yeah.
And she was like, what are you saying? Do you know how many years I have cried to God to give you a child?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And she was so happy.
Oh,
she was
my
like,
goodness.
people don't understand.
Yeah.
Then she, eventually she composed herself and she asked me, so do you want us to tell people or do we keep, what do you want? We're going to do what you want.
Yeah.
And I told her, let's keep quiet for now.
Okay.
And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
And she asked me, can I tell my best friend, her prayer partner?
She needs to tell somebody. Yes.
And, Auntie Jacinta, I love you so, so much.
Oh.
And she was like, can I tell Jessie?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you can tell her. And she was so excited.
Yeah.
So the story from Auntie Jacinta is my mom walked into her house and she was screaming. So now she didn't know what was wrong because this lady has just walked into her house.
Yeah.
She's screaming.
Yeah.
She's on the carpet.
Yeah.
She's crying.
Yes.
So she thought, okay, either somebody has died
Yes.
or something is very good.
Yeah.
Like it's either
You're not sure which is which.
She didn't know what was happening. So eventually when she said, I'm going to be a shosho, I'm going to be a shosho, that's all she could get out.
Wow.
And I was like, oh God.
Wow.
So that was my mom's reaction.
Oh my goodness. So beautiful.
That was my mom's reaction. And I was like, what was I scared
afraid of?
What was I afraid of?
Although it's normal for you to have that anxiety because you don't know which way it will go.
Yeah.
But it's such a blessing to hear your mother's response because that's not always every mother's response. It's not a typical response. So we have to really just pause and really appreciate that, the joy. And I think it also allowed you to now enjoy the pregnancy. Did it? Not really?
Not really.
Okay.
Because, so my family, their response was really positive.
Yes.
My dad was also very positive about it. Very calm.
Yeah.
My dad, he's a man of few words. And when I told him, he kept quiet. Then he opened his iPad and I was like, bas, he's moved on.
The conversation is over.
This conversation seems to be over. And he was opening the Bible and he read a scripture. And he said that the thing you've been praying for has come.
Wow.
And he said, who are we not to be happy with you?
Wow.
And it hit me immediately.
Yeah.
This man had seen me go through pain. He had paid for both my surgeries.
Yes.
For my surgery, he had he'd been with me.
Yeah.
You know, it was very easy. I would call him and tell him I can't get up, and he'd be like, "I'm sending a driver to take you to hospital." You know, he was there for me.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And they were happy. So now the challenge of the pregnancy is the pain, because I still had a lot of pain. I was constantly throwing up, the food aversions, and they didn't stop.
Yeah.
It was from the beginning to the
end. That's intense.
I don't know why people say that we are pregnant for 9 months.
Yeah.
Can we change the textbooks? It's 10.
Yeah.
It's 10.
Yeah.
It's 10 months. You know, and it was from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
The food aversions, all that.
Yeah. So it was very intense.
It was intense. It was painful. With time, as the pregnancy grew, I found out that the endometriosis had actually done a number on my pelvic floor, so the pain.
Yes.
And then my pregnancy was low bearing.
Yes.
So it was literally on my hips. It was so painful.
Yeah.
And I was sick a lot of the time. I had all day sickness, nothing like morning sickness.
Oh, yeah.
All day sickness.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
To a point that one time my dad said, "You know what?
Yeah.
Come back home."
Because you were living by yourself.
I was living by myself. Yeah. By this time, my housemate was already married.
Okay.
So she'd left.
Yes.
So I was on my own, and I was living at the top floor. It wasn't far, by the way, third floor, but it felt like,
of course.
Oh my God, it felt like London. Many times I would drive, get home, I look and I'm like, I can't do those stairs, and I'll drive to my parents' house.
Okay.
And so my dad said, no, move back. Because my mom spent a lot of time in my house, taking care of me, making sure I have dinner, I have this, and then she'd go back home.
Yes.
So it was decided, and I moved back home.
Okay.
Which is where I still am to date.
Yeah.
And that was such a blessing, because now I had company.
Yes.
You know, there's somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
The sadness, because of course there was sadness from the images that I had. I would say the dream, the ideal dream of how I would have this baby that I had.
Yes.
But there's also the reality.
Yes.
And the reality was not easy. To take in, especially when now you're waking up sick every day, all the time. Then, because of the things and the processes that I've been through with the endometriosis, I'd gotten I'm very sensitive to very many things, so allergies,
spiked
through the roof.
Yeah.
And change of weather kidogo, I start coughing. I need an antihistamine. I'm pregnant. I can't take an antihistamine.
Yes.
You're in pain, you can't take painkillers. You know? So the pregnancy was difficult.
Yeah.
But when I wasn't in pain, it was lovely.
Yeah.
And my mom would, let's go out.
Yeah.
Then again, it was during COVID.
Okay.
So we were still working from home. Yes. Then we came to a point of doing shifts. 2021, the same thing happened. COVID still. We were working in shifts.
Yes.
So I was not in the office as much.
Okay.
So I would work, you know, and sometimes my mom would, let's go for a drive, and should, guide me and all that. So that was
Yeah, that was the
something.
journey. So Baraka came. Was Baraka a boy or a girl?
Baraka is a boy.
A boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
A very handsome boy.
Oh, I can imagine. How old is Baraka now?
He's 3. He's turning 3 on Saturday.
Well
this
done.
weekend.
Yes.
Oh my God.
She's even tearing. Oh, bless.
my
Oh, my
baby.
goodness. Your blessing.
My blessing.
Your blessing.
My blessing came.
Yes.
And I remember through the pregnancy, because I cried.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
If there's something I did,
Yes.
I cried throughout that pregnancy. I really cried.
Yeah.
And I kept telling God, and because I have another friend who used to tell me, bitches, you can't keep these emotions in like this. You'll hurt the baby. You'll hurt, you know. And I used to cry to God, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This child will be a blessing. And when I was checking out the names, he is a blessing. He is a blessing. He is a blessing.
Yeah.
And because I remember God told me,
Yeah.
I don't know, I answered your prayer,
Yeah.
Beatrice.
Yeah.
What is it? This, and I said, but I've done.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
can separate you from my love.
Yes.
So this is your blessing, you know. And I looked through the Bible, and I was getting a name for him, and I told God, I need you to guide me on what names to call this child.
Yes.
And I called him Isaac, the bringer of joy and laughter.
Oh, wow.
Because he brought so much.
Yes.
I used to confess, he's going to bring laughter. He's going to bring joy.
Yes.
These tears will not be forever.
Yes.
You know, he's going to bring laughter. He's going to bring joy. And true to it.
Yes.
The laughter in our house.
Yes.
The joy. I mean,
Wow.
he's
Wow.
amazing.
Amen.
He's amazing.
It's so amazing to me how God just heals us. You know, and he knows exactly what we need.
Yes.
And you know, and knowing that God loves us, and I think I said these words to you, that he loves us despite and in spite of ourselves.
Yes.
His love doesn't change.
It
You know,
doesn't, yeah.
we might feel like, oh, I took this detour and whatever, and he's like, I love you the same.
The same.
And I still want to make that detour beautiful, which is what he has done by giving you Isaac, Baraka. And you know, as we get to start wrapping this up, I want you to encourage somebody who is at that place of feeling like, okay, I am in this situation where maybe they've found out that they're pregnant or they've already had their child and still are conflicted about, is this a blessing? Did I disappoint people? Did I disappoint God? Should I celebrate this? You know, that place of conflict that you understand so well.
Yes.
Please look into the camera and just encourage somebody who's watching you today.
Wow. In that space where you don't know what is, you know, because we are thinking about it from your human mind. That's what's speaking. It's your human nature, it's your human mind. But I want to tell you for sure, there's nothing that catches God by surprise.
Yeah.
And he says that he makes all things beautiful in his time. All things. All things. He's not good when you're good and bad when you're bad. He's just God.
Yeah.
And in that place, I would like you to encourage you to embrace the love, the grace of God, the beauty that he's brought through you, or he's bringing through you if you're still expecting this child. This is your blessing. This is your blessing. I'll tell you, this is your blessing. Put away the voices, because there are voices that will speak from outside, but they don't know. I would say this, what the prophet said. He said that greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. The multitude that is out there, leave them out there. That's why they're out there. The message of God, the love of God is very clear, that he makes all things, not some things, but all things beautiful in his time. He loves you with a love that is unchanging, a love that is unwavering, a love that is forever. Give him this process. Allow him to to turn you into what he wants you to be, in what he desires off of you. Give him this child, because this child is a blessing, not just to you. This is not just your blessing, actually.
Yeah.
This child is a blessing to the world as well. Yeah. There is something that they will fulfill. And this child had to be born through you and at this time. So take it. Yeah. Take the blessing. Carry that responsibility with love. Carry that responsibility with care. And I'll tell you once again, God loves you.
Yeah.
Unmistakably. Unmistakably. It's an unquestionable love. Yeah. He says that before the foundations of the earth were laid, he knew you. You are already known. You are already formed. You are already predestined to be a mother to that child or to those children. So I would say encourage yourself in the Lord, and don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Even in the hard times, don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've just said it so well and so beautifully. And I think those words will also keep ringing in my head that this is your blessing. This is your blessing. Okay? And when the enemy whispers all sorts of things in your ears, in your mind, because that's what he loves to do, is to play with our minds, elevate the other voice, which is the voice of truth, that tells you that this is your blessing. And I dare say, even and with all sensitivity, that we get to have children sometimes in less than ideal situations. We've heard of situations where children were born even out of rape. And you know, I've listened to some very brave women talk about the children that they've had as a result of those incidences, and still being able to say that this is a blessing. And where I stand is that every child is a blessing, regardless of how they come, regardless of the situations, that they are a blessing. One of my favorite musicians from South Africa is called Soli Malango. And I listened to him give his testimony the other day, and I was like, I didn't know this. His mother, he is a result of rape. And so he doesn't know who his father is, will never know. But I'm like, what a gift to the world this man has been. And so being able to say that even in that situation, even in this situation where you're like, but I'm not married, but I was not, even in that situation, this is your blessing. As we finish, I want to know, did you go for the other surgery, or is that something that will happen? Like, where are you with the endometriosis?
Okay, so with the endometriosis, I did go for the surgery.
You did.
I waited until my son was a year old.
Yes.
So in 2022, I went in for the surgery.
Okay.
And they cut out and burnt out as much as they could.
Yes.
And then got into straight away a hormonal treatment, which will slow down the growth of the endometriosis for the next maybe like 5 years.
Okay.
But the guy now I'm seeing told me that there's a possibility.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that it won't grow again.
Okay.
But there's a possibility that it will grow. But we've slowed it down for 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't have pain.
Yes. Oh, wow.
I don't get my period, which is the best thing that has ever happened.
We are jealous.
Be jealous.
Speaking for myself and many other women.
Please be jealous. No, really. So I've not seen my period since.
Yes.
And I'm happy, you know. No pain, no agony.
Yeah.
All that is behind me.
Yeah.
But of course, after 5 years from the time of the surgery, I still have a decision to make.
Okay.
Whether I want to have another child.
Yes.
But in my 40s, Mom, it's not happening.
Okay, we'll review this conversation.
That's what she keeps saying. Tutaona.
Tutaona. Ya Mungu ni mengi. I mean, he gave you.
Clearly, ya Mungu ni mengi.
Yes, you are living proof.
Yes. So, so after 5 years, I'll still have another decision to make.
Yes.
Do I still want to press on, or do I want to have a total hysterectomy?
Yeah.
So that will be done.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
So for now.
Yeah.
I'm just happy being mom.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be pain-free.
Yes. We are happy that you're pain-free.
Yes.
So happy that you're pain-free.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing your story, B. I really believe, because I'm rooting for you.
Yes.
I really believe that there are, and I know that there are people who can love you with or without a uterus, can love you with or without endo, who I know that they are there because we've seen them, you know.
Yeah.
And as I've said, because I'm rooting for you, I know that God writes beautiful stories, beautiful stories. And I know that whether it will be a year, 2 years down the line, you will give us a very different, we will review that part of this story. Yes. So I mean, I'm really excited to see what God does in your life, and but you just sharing this story, this is such a huge testimony, and I can't wait for the women and the men to watch it, and just for the freedom that it will bring, and the healing that it will bring, and enlightenment. So thank you for being so brave with your life and being so brave with your story. Happy birthday to Baraka.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he's actually now, we translated Baraka
To
because my sister was like, there are too many children called Baraka. So, but my kid sister. So he's called Mapalo. Mapalo is Zambian name that also does mean Baraka.
Blessing.
Actually.
Yes.
So it's blessing.
Mapalo.
Mapalo.
Oh, that's
so that's
beautiful.
his name.
Isaac Mapalo.
He's Mapalo. Mapalo is his first name.
Mapalo's first.
Isaac is his second name. And then my dad gave him a very unique last name.
Which is?
Wamomwe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
My great-grandfather's name.
Yes.
And my dad was like, that's the name I want you to give.
I love it.
Yeah.
He has some powerful names, I
I'm
must
telling
say.
you. And he's named after a very powerful man.
Yes.
My great-grandfather was...
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mapalo Isaac Wamumwe.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What a boy. What a man. We cannot wait to see who he becomes.
Ooh, you're
well
not ready.
Done, Mama. We are not ready.
You're not ready.
Thank you, B. And well done, Mama. Keep going.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here, sharing your life and sharing your heart with us.
Thank you.
That is B. That is the story of B. Okay, I know you need to like exhale and just dissect and get your takeout and take home. And I know that you're lifted. I know that you cannot listen to these stories and remain the same. So let me know what it is that has resonated with you. B, can we share your social media handles, or how can people reach you if they want to reach you?
On IG?
On IG, yes.
I am Muringi.
Yes. I am Muringi.
Muringi.
We'll put it also there.
Yes.
Okay, so you can get the right handle if you want to just message her, thank her for sharing her story, or if you have a question, whatever it is. But don't be intrusive, just, All right. Guys, I look forward to catching you next time. Thank you for being here on Being Kambua. Kwaheri.